Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Stories. My name is Kevin Britz. Oh God, I forgot my name. Well, it's really been a long day.
We need these bloopers. We need a blooper reel. And maybe one day we can also swap sides. You can come here and I'll go to South Africa. We can do our show.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let me try that again. In 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon and welcome to #Lunchtime Stories with candid conversation with my cousin. My name is Kevin Britz. My wonderful co-host is the beautiful cousin in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, USA, Lauren Britz. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Hi, Kevin. It's so nice to be with you again. As always, if it's not raining, the sun is shining. So today the sun is shining and it's pretty hot out there. So
we've had the weirdest weather. Sorry, but the weirdest weather again. Like this weekend, Sunday rained the whole day. Saturday was blaring hot. Today is cold. It's like we're having the strangest weather. And I'm like, it's like literally seeing the planet change in front of our eyes. You can see like, this is not usual for this time of year. It's crazy.
And I remember the first time I saw it snowing in South Africa. I thought it was so bizarre. People are like, it doesn't snow there. I'm like, well, throughout my life, it never snowed outside, maybe on a mountain somewhere. But one day I was sitting there and it just started snowing and we were all mesmerized. I'll never forget that day. We all went outside and it was actually snow was like landing and staying on the floor. And we were like, what is going on here?
I remember I'm 41 years old today. I remember in the 41 years, I can honestly remember living in Johannesburg. There's probably only been, to my recollection, about 3 or 4 times you could walk outside and there was actually snow on the floor. But it really just doesn't happen here. And yeah, I mean, on the mountains, but never here. Like it's not a snowy land.
Right. Did you say it was your birthday today?
No.
Oh, I thought you were 41 today. I was like, hold on.
I know, I'm 41 years old though.
Yes, of course.
So I must, have my weekly insights on the debate that's happening in the US at the moment. I must say that I mean, I'm not even a woman, and I was so proud of Kamala. What's his name? Harris, right? Kamala Harris.
Kamala. Yeah, it's more like Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, and how she kind of like I don't know. She didn't gesture. I think she may have gestured in a way and said, "Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I'm talking." I was like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah!" Like put someone in there, and I think that was not because it was her, but purely based on the fact that when someone's talking, just shut up and let them talk. Yeah. So I mean, what did you take away from that debate? Because it kind of was very very rehearsed, very superficial. Kind of, there wasn't solid.
I think they were a little bit more cautious just because, and as you know, maybe the next presidential debate has actually been cancelled. So, I think they were a little more cautious. They were a little bit more. It's also, not a debate that everyone is as interested in as the presidential debate, but it is important. And I do think more people are watching than ever before. And I thought it was a good debate. I think they respected each other. They had them little moments, which I guess is pretty normal these days anyway. I thought, the mediator was great. They both said things that I agreed and disagreed with. You don't hear Mike Pence speak often. So it's interesting to actually hear him speak.
Yeah, that's also what I thought, because I was like, I think this is the first time I've actually listened to his opinion about stuff. Like
you just never get it. Really. Yeah, all right. It's like you have an opinion. That's great. Let's hear it. I kind of wish we wouldn't have to wait for a debate for that to happen. But I guess, our President Trump is probably taking the front seat on that one. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it was a good debate. It was a pretty normal debate, and she had to tell him to keep quiet a little bit, but that's okay. These days, women are taking their power back, and they're just sort of letting people know, I'm talking, and do you mind listening?
Did you also hear the Trump swearing on the radio, or he was talking or whatever, and he he started talking about what he started throwing the F-bomb. I just saw like headlines about the F-bomb on radio. I was like, oh, wow.
No, I'm actually surprised because you never hear him swearing ever.
But I don't know why. I'm sure
he does. I'm sure he swears a lot. I know I would if I was the president of any country. But, I'm sure. No, I did not actually hear that. That would be interesting. I'm going to go look that up.
Yeah, let's check it out. But for today's conversation, one of the things you've prefaced, which has come up for me and in the last month with some crazy people, but the topic of it's all about the money, or is it? And that question. So don't you want to sort of give us an insight on why this has come to the foreground? And and I think is just to add to that, coming to the end of the year, things are sort of pressurized, like the pressure is on to just get through December and January, especially in our holiday period. How is that what's happening in your world currently? Because I know that you said that's coming up a lot.
It is, and it's something we're looking at. I think when any entrepreneur or any human really decides to start a business and forge forward with this, you come across so much that you would not have been able to see hindsight, right? Well, hindsight's the only time you're going to see it. You would not have been able to see it before. So it's why do people start business? I mean, you want freedom, you want money, you want no. You want all the things you're not getting wherever you are, and you want to be in control of the world, right? Now, I think one of the things that really drives that process for a lot of people, or at least what I think initially, is money. I need to get to the money. How do I get to the money? What do I need to do to get to the money? And as I'm sort of, a few years into business now and 17 years into my craft, as a photographer, I'm busy looking at, leveling up my business. What do I need to change? And, what became kind of clear in the beginning and what's becoming very clear now is that it's not all about the money. The money is very important, obviously. And we are ambitious people. We want to make money. There's a lot of money, we just want some of it. But at the end of the day, in order to get that money, in order to get the freedom, because for me, success is really about freedom of time versus money. We need to actually we need to put the money on the shelf, so to speak, and just kind of look past it. The money's not going anywhere. It's money, energy's there. We need to look at other things that drive business, because I think money can often get us stuck, especially if you're at a crossroads and you're like, okay, where do I need to go now? Or if you need to level up or take risks. Money can be a debilitator. It can hinge you from going forward. And, sometimes there's just some work that needs to be done around the money mindset even to propel you forward in business and also just make you happier. It's if you're constantly just money, I don't know how that's mentally going to affect a person later on. Because our businesses are not just about selling a product and getting money in return for it. We're very heavily invested. Also, you say, it's the end of the year. And let's throw a pandemic on top of that.
Yeah.
People are scared, fearful, desperate, scrambling to survive, scrambling to help their businesses survive, their employees. How do we change our mindset around money to pivot our businesses, but also to find our ideal clients, because money, let's say someone comes and offers you money. Are they ideal for you? What if that money is good money, but the client turns out to be not a good fit and not in alignment with your services? So these are things I think we really need to look at. And I think we can help, discuss it and help a little bit just with understanding that it's not just all about the money.
Yeah. Do you know, it's, I agree and I disagree with that statement, right? And the reason why, and I think it's purely based on the fact that when I was probably a teenager, if I can sort of recall the memory now, I kind of had that stupid, snarky kind of, well, I don't have to prove anything to anyone kind of moment.
Yeah.
And my family, and I'm sure if you ask them, they'll recall this very specifically, struggled with the fact that I had this kind of attitude about it. But what I later then realized was I don't need to prove anything to anyone started permeating into how I did anything. So eventually I got to a point where I was having a business and you're kind of going, oh, well, I don't have to prove any of that sort of framework or that reference or that memory, that decision-making process happened. And I kind of got into a business. I'm thinking, oh goodness, I really want to prove things now, right? And it took me so long to kind of wrap my brain around the fact that, oh no, like I want to be able to do this. I want to show people the value I can add and. So it became, so that question about the money, it's not all about the money, or it is about the money. However, you're prefacing that. For me, it never was, because I always felt like, well, I don't need to prove to you that I can drive a nice car. If I want to drive a nice car, I'll just drive a nice car. But that in itself became the foundation of where I was coming from the whole time.
Yeah.
Today I love money. I kind of go, yay, I'm making money, and I'm so excited about it. And
I know it's exciting energy. Money energy is exciting energy. There's no doubt about it.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it's the framing of what's so important, and I think most people, it's like the other thing where money is the root of all evil, or people grow up with that kind of
belief systems. Yeah, those are very dangerous belief systems that one can carry throughout your life, and sometimes you don't even know it. You don't even realize you're doing it, and there are ways to check that, and we'll talk about that as well,
So when I said I agree and disagree, I kind of agree because I'm going, yeah, I love the money. I really love the money. And I disagree because I'm going, what is that entry point? And, when do you sort of take money out of the equation and really just solidify yourself on, I'm doing this for the serving purpose of why I do what I do, right? And it funnily enough, when we spoke about this, or when you mentioned it earlier, the first thing that came to mind was that is so significant to the last conversation we had about the why, because it really just gets in. I was like, okay, so why are you doing it? And then you go, yeah, but is it because of the money? Is it because I want to do this? Is it my entry point to, for example, to doing online sessions like this with video? What very often came up with for me was like, yeah, but then you're going to put yourself in front of people, and then your people will know you, and people get to know you, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to be famous. I don't want people to know me like that. And that's kept coming up for me. So what if you do really well at this, and you get, the series really kicks butt, and you kind of get well known, and currently it's well known all over the world, right? There's
amazing
countries that know about it already. But when I sort of solidified why am I doing it, I was going, I just want to add value. I want to add value. And because that was my entry point and not the money point, or how much money can I make from YouTube ads, or
right.
That wasn't the entry point. The entry point was how can I do this more effectively? And what I'm noticing is, because the why is in place, and I just want to tie it back to why it's about the money. Well, it's not about the money. Do you see how confusing it is for me?
No, it's so confusing because
so in alignment with it. Like you kind of go, I'm doing this, but I want to get paid. And I love the energy of it.
When you're starting a business as well, it's like, chicken or egg often. Like what comes first? It can be very difficult to see what to do first and what will come next, or do you need to do that first for this to happen? But what I noticed in my own business, and this is the great thing, we have, this personal experiences, all of us, that we can share with people, and they're all different, and we might find some similarities, and we can really learn from each other. And one of the things that happened in the initial stages of my business, I was getting into it, and I had this boost of sales come, and it was wonderful. Beginning of the year came, and it was just empty, dry, crickets, right? Nobody. Why? I was like, oh, why is it suddenly not just flowing? And it allowed me to really get deep down into my mindset. And what I noticed was I was bashing money's door down. Like, I need you, like, open up, like, where are you? What do I need to do to get into your door? Now imagine you were actually doing that in real life. You were at somebody's door and you were like bashing it down. And you're like, let me
go away, crazy. Yeah,
they'd be like, get away from me, I'm calling 911, or 10-11-1, or whatever it is these days. But that's exactly what you can do with your money energy. I know that's what I was doing. I was kind of like scaring it away from me. And what I did was, and it does, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it takes a cultivation of faith in your own self. Even when you don't necessarily have it, you have to almost pretend sometimes like, I'm doing this because it feels right? But what I did was I pivoted my mindset from bashing down money's door, and I gave money a break. And I moved over to a different door that I was focusing on now, which was, what am I giving people? How am I serving people? Like, what am I doing? You're like, if money is over there, what else exists?
Yeah.
And that's when I was really able to get down into the nitty-gritty of how I want to serve my clients. I was able to really restructure my business, see what I need. And even now I'm leveling up even more with a business coach, which I 100% recommend to any entrepreneur who is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
It might, sound, it's an investment. But it's an investment absolutely to your next step. There are very few business coaches that I know that have failed on this step. The only time I've seen failure here is if people don't show up, correctly. But other than that, this is the step to take. And once you pivot from money to, okay, how am I going to serve this client? And I do not mean serve every client all the time and, live to your client's whims. There's an ideal. So I'm not saying go ahead and just do that, but if you're focusing on your service and what you can do for others, they will find you, and you'll be able to qualify which of those are right for you. And eventually you'll streamline your business so well that anyone who's not qualified to work with you will just sort of, fall off the wayside and find somebody else that's better suited to them. But definitely that pivot, once I pivoted to the, just focusing on the service, more money came.
Yeah.
There were moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I accept, like, like I didn't expect it. I was like, yes, thank you. But it was great clients, good business, great money. And all I did was shift my mindset to my service. So it's powerful.
I think it's such an important question to ask yourself. How do I see money? How does money function in my world? I remember when I had the inroads to when I started initially started out at Voice by Design, doing a lot of voice training within call centers. My very first big client. It was 2,500 people that they wanted training for. Nice. And because I didn't have the right relationship with money at that time, I panicked and I thought, oh, well, you know what, I need help. I'm not going to be able to do all of this, and the pressure, and like, it's not going to work. And immediately created a whole new business with a business partner. and literally shared all of that money. Like, just literally shared it. There was no there was no kind of big conversation about it. It was just like, oh, I need a partner, let's just share money. And looking back, I think to myself, if I had a better relationship with how money was playing out in my world, and how I was holding that frame and that foundation around money, I probably would have shown up because if it was today, I would have booked out training for the rest of my year, kind of just me. And I would have done it all on my own, because I'm very capable of doing it all on my own. But in that time, because of the relationship I had with money, I had the fear of going, well, I don't, this amount seems too much money for me.
Let me share it. I know,
yeah,
right?
let me just get help, because I'm not going to be able.
Yeah.
Right. So, just back to the framing that you were talking about and why it's so important, I relate that quite specifically to the big money that comes along. And part of your brain kind of convinces you that this is you're out of your depth, and this is something you're not going to be able to handle, or whatever that narrative is, right?
Yep.
And if you don't have a healthy conversation around money, and you really don't know what it means to you and how it's playing out in your world, you're probably going to make really, really big mistakes. And I know I have.
I think in the beginning, I mean, I didn't start out with any investment. I'm sure you didn't either. So you kind of, you're trying to balance the scales here of how do I service and, provide for my clients, at the same time, make money and make my money work for me. So that's been coming up a lot in my world, like make your money work for you, Lauren. Yeah. And, money is really, to me now, not so much an object, but an energy. Think about it. You can go for weeks, months, years without ever touching money. It's really an idea these days. And
yeah.
it's just like, it's a piece of plastic. It's cryptocurrencies are really not that. The only thing that's hard to understand about that is how they are traded on the stock market, on their own market, or in their own markets. But other than that, the idea is it's flowing energy that doesn't have a physical product to it. So, if there's a lot of people that can help with money energy, and I know business coaches do, right? Business coaches really work on money energy, which often then goes back to belief system work, or different types of techniques being used to see, like, why do you have that in the first place? Where did that come from? All of us have some level of money mindset from our childhood, whether it's we had money, we didn't have money, we were in poverty, or we lost all our money, or our parents lost all their money, or then they got divorced, or whatever it was. And also we can look at our parents' money habits to get a little bit of a tiny clue. Don't hold it against them, but to get a little tiny clue of maybe what was passed down to you, and to sit and say, okay, listen, it's not all about the money. It isn't. But I still have to figure out my money mindset, and I have to figure out what else I can focus on. The money is attached to that you will focus on. So, I mean, it will come. But I do find the scarcity mindset is a problem these days. And even going forward, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, when you get those big deals that are bigger than all the deals you've ever had before, I still have to stop myself and be like, okay, like I almost have to work my quotes out so logically by the numbers that I don't have to think about whether it's worth it or not.
Emotion, exactly.
It's like the numbers match up, we're good.
Yeah. I was listening to, I don't know if you know him, he's an incredibly successful speaker and businessman in South Africa, Vusi Thembekwayo. I'll share the link on WhatsApp. He's from South Africa. He has like a really tough story where his father was gunned down in front of him in South Africa, and the difficult life he had on trying to cope through that, but also knowing, because of those circumstances that happened in his world, how he needed to make decisions to change. And there's two things that he mentions that I think is so significant, and I'm going to use my own words, I'm not quoting directly here, but he goes, you can choose two things. You can choose the emotion that you attach to the moment, or you can choose the result that you want. You can't have both, because essentially if you want the result, it means you can't have that emotion right now because it's probably going to be hard. Right?
It's going to get in the way right now. Yeah.
He says that, and he also points out that so many people he refers back to South Africa because he lives here, but so many people in the world often have that entry point. If I had an angel investor, if I had someone to just spend some money on my business plan or my business option here, or this idea, then I would be able to do so much more. And he was like, bull, like, stop that, enough with that. The fact of the matter is, if you want to make money, if you want to be an entrepreneur, go and buy a packet of apples and sell one for $5,000. Yep. And make a couple of bucks for yourself, and then do that until you have $100, until you have $1,000, and then you kind of go, that there is entrepreneurship. You don't need money to go out there and generate anything.
Yeah, because even in that story, the focus is buying something and using that product, whatever it is, to multiply. Yeah. Right? And that's the same, like, okay, so Vusi Thembakwayo, you said his name.
Thembakwayo, yeah.
Vusi Thembakwayo, so definitely going to go check him out. From our the guy kind of pops in my head is, I don't know if you've heard of Gary V?
Yes, Gary V.
I think his name is Gary Vaynerchuk. I think it's Vaynerchuk. Yeah, I mean, he's Vaynerchuk, something like that. Gary V is easier.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, Gary's great. Down to earth guy who's like, he still drives around. He does swear a lot. Yeah. But at least he's authentic about himself, And, he says still today, they're magically creating amazing content around the world. He's doing great business. Until today, he still drives around with his truck and picks up trash off the streets, fixes it up and sells it. Like, this is what he did. And in America, you can often kid out. I mean, it sounds crazy, but you could almost kid out your house with what you find on the street. You could start secondhand stores. I mean, Goodwill is not a charity. Goodwill, he takes all your stuff, cleans it up, rearranges it, puts it in a store and sells it. We know because we see his yacht crossing past the marina, which is fabulous. We don't throw stones at him. We're like, listen, he didn't pretend to be a charity. He's taking your rubbish and putting it out there,
Gary V did a talk, and he's one of the people that's one of the reasons that I do the lunchtime series, because he was doing a talk, and he was doing a talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs and business people, and going, if you're not actually getting out there and making it your business to know what social media is about, and you're 50 years old and you're going, but I'm 50, the social media stuff is not for me. It's like, you know what? No one asked you, no one taught you, didn't know how to drive a car when you but you actually made the effort to go out and learn how to drive a car. So don't say you don't know how to work social media. YouTube, and the other person, Elon Musk, says there is almost anything that you can learn on the internet today for free.
There's very little that's Elon is, come on, let's just talk about Elon for a second, because
he's South Africa,
he's from Pretoria. He went to Pretoria Boys High, which I know he had a bit of a difficult time there, but he's had some issues with families and stuff. But here's Elon. Here's a man that has no aeronautical degrees or real formal training or anything, really. I'm sure he's learned a lot, but he really says, like, he read every day about this stuff, about space, and he dreamt about it and he imagined it. And hello, here he is in my state where they're launching. I mean, we went and watched his launch up to the ISS space station the other day.
I saw that online,
Yeah, I mean, we were able to drive up to Cape Canaveral with some friends who actually, one of them worked for NASA. And a lot of people, you just drive up, you take a chair, your lawn chair, and you just hang out and have some drinks. And you watch the rocket launch. And it was, it was a historical moment. A very historical
and that's an entrepreneur from South Africa, like just a guy that put his head down and did it.
And that's not all his
Noah.
He just Trevor Noah. There's another one.
Yeah, Charlize Theron. There's some. There's quite a few South Africans that have. But I think if you have to sit them down and really get to the crux of it, very often. It very much ties back to the narrative of what's my story? What's the story you keep holding as the truth?
I mean, I would say those South Africans we've just mentioned. I mean, I know Trevor Noah, he had some friends on the side that really believed in him. Yeah. But, all of them, they could easily, I mean, look at where Trevor Noah is sitting today. I mean, he could easily have been overwhelmed by this American, celebrity life. And I don't know if he is or not, but the point is he could have said no. He could have shrunk himself, coming from South Africa, I mean, all the way out of Soweto to sitting, in a political seat, on his talk show. It's amazing. And he opened himself up for the experience. It wasn't just about the money. It was about what he was going to offer now. And it was in the face of being told, no, we don't want you here. You're not American. What do you know about American politics? It took a minute for Americans to really warm up to him, but he did it anyway. Elon did it anyway. Charlize did it anyway,
And I bet if you had to sit them down and ask them a question about, do you know why you do what you do? Do you know what it is for you? What is that driving factor? That probably outweighs a far greater deal to them than it's just about the money. Because the money is great, the money is nice, and the money makes life easy, and the money makes, if the more money I'm making, the more money I can make with other people. So money in that sense is a really good thing, because the more you can do, the more you earn, the more you can do, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's still the entry point in how do you do that? How do you get your brain wrapped around what that means for you and how it will play out in your world?
Right. I mean, I think it's, it probably happens at different stages of a person's business. For me personally, as a photographer, I have to get really creative about how I will make my money. Yeah. Because yes, making money is a goal. Making $1 million from my business is a goal. How do I do that? Right? I can't run after $1 million. I have to forge out ideas, ways, look at what's around me, see what people need. I have to solve somebody's problem in an enormous way, in a good way, in a brilliant way, so that I can make my money goal. And also that's a lofty long-term goal, but it's like, so yes, the goal is there, money is important, but what am I going to actually do to make sure that comes in without stressing myself as well, and while maintaining some level of freedom? So not getting into the corporate rat race, or not getting into, owning your own business is work. It's work, and there's a lot of it, but it shouldn't drive you crazy, though. You need to try to maintain that balance. So yes. So,
in terms of that money question, right? So has it come up for you when you get to the point where you're going, actually, I'm going to fire you as a client? Because I've had a few clients that have rubbed me up the wrong way. I currently have one that's starting to in a big way, and what I've noticed is I've really needed to get really need to get grips around, why am I doing this? Like, am I doing it for the money? Because I'm really not happy about the way the client's treating me. And I'm going, this is not okay. Am I doing it about the money? And it was a very difficult conversation to have. And the second client that recently, I kind of just said, you know what, please find yourself someone else to work with, because this is
Right.
not for me. Was the negotiation of upfront negotiation of what the
Yes.
deliverables would be at the end.
Yeah.
And in the very first session we had this, he was a coaching client, and eventually by the 45 minutes through the session, he was talking about he's actually struggling with sexuality. And, he went from business goals and career to he's struggling. And I was like, okay, this is really interesting. So and eventually I was going, because then he wasn't comfortable about talking about it, and there was a whole bunch of stuff.
It's a process, yeah, definitely for him.
So I was like, no, actually, I think it's so important to know in your head when you're going to fire the client and
it is.
Because if you don't, invariably it's a boundary, and they will just walk all over it, and they'll push and they'll nudge and they'll the whole time until they see how much they can get out of it.
We come across, initially I thought this was really very much in the creative industries, but I realize it's in any industry that's come up over the last decade, because it's new. Business coaching's probably been happening from the beginning of time, but really now it's kind of up and new and popular, and we all know about it.
Yeah.
But so we come across many worldviews and issues, and so many things. People are struggling with things. They're not upfront. They don't know what their feelings are. There's just so many things. Like Vusi says, you got to choose. Are you going to go the emotional route, or am I going to go, So yes, I've recently, especially in my industry, we do something very specific, and I've recently had to tell my client, we are the experts. That's why you hired me, us.
Sorry, Lals, but on your point, what also stands up, which I think is so much more difficult from your perspective, is creativity is a non-tangible.
It's subjective and it's non-tangible. So part of my job,
I still have products to sell, and
yes, I am the product.
You selling this concept and this idea, and so it even adds to the pressure of how this is going to work.
And because of that, there's a very specific procedure. I have a brand experience that you're going to go through and experience. It's like you're going to climb in the roller coaster. You don't know what's going to happen, and I'm going to lead you down this road. It requires that you trust me. It requires we go under the veil a little bit and get a little bit close. Everything's very specific. There's branding questionnaires that we rely on heavily to get information. We really, in a very ethereal way, take our clients' essence and create creative imagery around it. I mean, that's not a frivolous exercise. And people are like, well, what do you do? Push buttons? Honestly, I'm at the point where I cannot get upset about these things anymore. I hear them and I walk the opposite direction, because I'm focused here. I've been that so many times.
Did you literally fire the client because they were just knocking all of your procedures out the door?
They would approach me in a way where, I have a procedure so that I can give you the best quality, and it has to be done this way because, we're not rigid.
Yeah.
There's a flow. But also it has to be done in a particular way because of the product we have. So, really what it is people trying to, control the situation, manipulate the quotes, try to, continuously give obstacles. And what happens when that happens is it interferes with the process. It makes the client becomes very difficult. They don't participate in the actual process. I don't get the information I need, and then I output something that is not necessarily right for you. And that's a point I never get to. I'm not going to output anything if I'm not 100% sure that we are going to be able to do it. It's not a good exercise. So I don't jump the gun too fast. I take a few steps back. I think about it. I'm not reactive. I'm not reacting to my emotions. I give myself a minute to chill, and then I go back and I write non-emotional emails, or I have non-emotional phone calls, which I'll jot down what I want to talk about to keep my emotions on track. And it's not personal. Business is not personal, even if it's personal.
Okay? I love that state, because
this is something I came up with, and I'm going to TM this one, because
you should.
It's not personal, even if it's personal. So if someone's making it personal, make it impersonal. It's personal when we get to the work. It's not an attack on who I am or what I am. But yes, fired.
I'm gonna miss you said it now. Some famous dude said, if you're saying stuff about me, or you're posting stuff about me, or you're having an opinion about me, and you don't have my number on your phone where you can actually speak to me about it, then your opinion just doesn't matter. And I was like, oh yes.
A lot of things that are red flags. Like, for example, one day, I got a call and all ready to go, right? I'm ready to shoot. And the client, oh, well, my client hasn't paid me yet.
Oh.
I'm like, well, I'm sorry that I'm the one that has to tell you that is none of my business. Like, you're either paying me before I show up, or I'm not showing up. And guess what? I was paid in 30 seconds flat, and I showed up and I did amazing work. But it's stressful to work that way. So, processes are very important. Considering, your language, your thinking, it's all very important when thinking about business and money.
So inevitably, is it all about the money, Lauren?
You know what? We're going to have to say no on that one. It is very much about the money. It's all about the money. At the end of the day, we want money. Really, what it's all about, what you offer the world, how you're going to do that, and the money will come. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I must say that listening to that statement, I've always had such an issue with that, because you're like, what? Like, that's so like airy fairy. Like, what easy, the hell is that even about? Until I wrap my brain around the fact that, you know what, you have this, and it might sound like a big statement, but you have this one life, and you may as well enjoy the one life you've got, and really just focus and feel everything into the passion of what it is you're doing, and allow that to be your narrative, or your North Star, or your beacon. Or you can constantly go, okay, but there's no money. Where the hell's the money? There's no money. It's
well, the problem is this. So the problem is that at the end of the day, I mean, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? I mean, you could spend your life complaining, but I promise you that that's the same energy that you can use to sit down. And yes, okay, it does sound frivolous when you're like, okay, well, do your work and the money will show up. You have to take care of your money. You gotta take care of your money like a baby, like protect it.
But
make sure you focus on what you're doing. And that requires physical activity, sitting down, writing down what's your why, who's what, what's your next step in your business? What are you going to do this week? What are your goals for the week? I mean, it requires the actual business stuff. So if you're not doing that, I mean, you can't just sit at home and be like, well, I'm going to just sit here and money will show up. It 100% requires action. The difference between people who make money and do not make money, regardless of ideas, is action. So, and then action, like you said, go buy a crate of water bottles, sell them on the street for double the price, because it's a convenience to people on a hot day, and go buy yourself 2 more and 10 more, hire 5 guys, pay them, and so you begin your entrepreneurship. I did it in photography, you do it in business. Whatever your I've seen people do amazing things in business during the pandemic. You know, what are they doing? They're no longer focused on not doing anything. You know, they've been forced now to think about their survival almost, or how to get to the next step, or their business surviving. And that has propelled them into, you know what, I can't think about all these problems anymore. Let me now think about what I need to do. And you know, when you plant the seed, the tree will grow. Yeah. It's a crazy thing. And a lot of people think it's airy, fairy, ethereal, but it's science. It's literal quantum physics, if you're interested in actually looking at that. But if you looked at quantum physics, you would find that very same ideology that exists here that people call airy fairy. They did the atom test in quantum physics. When you look at the atom, it moves. With the longer you look at it, the faster it moves. When you look away from the atom, it stops moving. What does that prove? It proves that, you know, things need witnessing in order to be created. And, you know, sitting and just staring at money all day or thinking about just money all day is not just going to bring you more money. It's going to, because often when we think about money, we think about problems. Money problems. Oh, I don't have enough money.
We even language it like that, yeah.
And that's one of the things I'd really like to say. I mean, what do you think, Kev? Like, what are the top 3 tips that we can give everybody today that to start considering their money mentality? Because it's not all just about the money. What do you think?
Recently, I was doing a bit of a training session with one of my clients, and we had a group of about 6 people doing the training, and they were struggling with that very question, you know, and but you know, we struggle because we don't have enough money to improve my career, and I said to them, do you know what? A lot of the time, we make the mistake that we just focus on the money and we forget about the career. You know, when you start focusing on the career and you really start the becoming of who am I becoming in this moment, your brain starts attuning to that as a career and kind of going, this is who I'm becoming. I want to become, I don't know, the management of this business. And what does that look like? What does it behave like? What does it sound like? How do I show up? Where do I spend my time? Who do I speak to? Who am I engaging with on a day-to-day? How am I engaging? Am I doing enough? And so I think for me, number one thing is who am I becoming in this world? Because I can focus on the money and kind of go, okay, well, I either have lots of money and yay, or I don't, and and let that be my driving factors. Or you can go, okay, well, I love the money, but who am I becoming? And essentially, who am I becoming will drive so much further and so much more energy into what it is you're focused on doing. And then it becomes a secondary factor to the becoming. And it really is about defining and really paying attention to who it is you want to be on the planet. And it's such a big statement. Definitely. But you know, the question is, who are you becoming?
Right. Who are you creating yourself to be? Yeah. You know, I think one of the biggest ways that when I start noticing things, you know, that I need to check, like money mindset or anything, is my language.
Yes.
I've started realizing how important language is, which will try to help me stop swearing. I'm like, I don't have a word for this. F-bomb, you know, like I can't find a word for this.
I think it's the importance of, but to add to what you're saying, the importance of the meaning I'm giving the language as well. Because very often, you know, when you like the F-bomb, you know, I don't care if anyone swears or if anyone uses the Lord's name. I like whatever, you know, dude, if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But how that drives behavior and neural connection for you because of the meaning you're giving it, that's like, it becomes a whole different conversation. And I don't think people they're not aware of their own language or how they speak to themselves.
No, I mean, I would definitely say to people, anybody that's struggling with a money mindset right now, or is stuck in, I don't have enough money, this type of thinking, and needs to get to the next step of whatever they're doing, I really think that they should reach out to somebody to talk about it, whether it's, a networked colleague, a business coach, somebody, or even a mind coach, whoever, or a money coach. I mean, there's some people who just do money mindsets all day long.
Yeah.
And it's in that conversation that you're going to start seeing and realizing things that you might not have realized before. It's hard to do it in isolation. I mean, there are some people that just get to a point and they're like, well, I'm just doing this. But, for a lot of people, I think it comes in the talking. It's in that space where things show up, and little things that you can tweak about your mind. And if you hear yourself using certain words, about money, and I hate money, or money's the root of all evil, that's by far my non-favorite. Like, if you believe that, if you honestly believe that money is the root of all evil, and so are human beings, I don't think you're going to succeed necessarily.
Yeah, it becomes your
happy, productive way, but
becomes your narrative.
Come to base.
So we've got the becoming.
So you got to be careful of what your narrative.
So I've like the becoming, and then you said mind your language and pay attention to how you speak. I don't know. The third one for me would just be priming. Because I know you also have a sort of a morning like moment that you take for yourself, and how you set up your day. And I think priming your life and your
100%.
moment and your day and your week, the energy, like the way you enter. I think Oprah Winfrey, is that Oprah Winfrey? Oprah Winfrey said, be responsible for the energy you bring into this moment. And that's kind of stuck with me for so many years already, that like when you kind of consider that and you kind of go, well, this is my energy I'm bringing into this moment. What is your energy? As long as you're responsible for your energy and I'm responsible for mine, we're gonna have a good day. But very often we're reckless with how we do life. We're reckless with our emotions. We're reckless with how we speak to ourselves and people. We're reckless. And I think priming yourself for having the most effective day to day is so important.
Absolutely. I think those are 3 amazing tips to start. It's a journey.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're aiming to solve the problem tomorrow, but it's a journey to start doing those 3 things. Prime your morning. Definitely go out and check yourself with your language, because that just starts telling me. That's like my little ding ding ding. I'm like, oh, I used the word. I wonder what's going on. I don't bash myself. It's just aware. I'm just aware of it the whole time.
Yeah, so I'm so careful of that. Yeah.
Please. I definitely think that having a great money mindset, a great morning, is going to propel people into the next direction. So definitely, I would say money is not everything. It's not the whole story, but it's a big part of the story. So.
Sorry, I'm just, all my gadgets are going all off at the same time here now. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I think that, in preparation of yourself, really having that North Star and really focusing on that thing that's really serving you, mining your language, I think that's really, really some key. And for me, is it all about the money? At the end of the day, it's all about the amount of worth that I place on me.
There we go. Yeah,
and that's why it's the becoming. For me, it's that becoming, because then, by the time I really wrap my brain around how I'm becoming this person on the planet and the value that is within me, the money just sort of matches and starts manifesting from the energy that it's becoming, right?
Absolutely.
So I think those three are probably quite key.
Yeah, definitely key for a successful business and a good money mindset and a happy life. You know, money can bring a lot of stress, so get on it. You know, people like do yourself a favor, whoever's listening out there, and just, you know, go down, get yourself pen and paper, start writing a few things down, start writing what you think about money. And if you really think that that is the be all and end all of everything, and what else is there? Because there's a lot. There's so many good things out there.
Absolutely. Lars, you know, one of the things that we forget to do on this show is tell people about where to find us.
Yes.
And I know we always say that's in the description box below, but if we want to know more about Lauren Britz photography, please tell people where to go.
Yes, please. You can find me at laurenbritzphotography.com. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on there quite a bit, Lauren Britz Photo. And you can find me on Facebook, of course, Lauren Britz Photography. You can call me, talk to me about anything. I'm also on LinkedIn as Lauren Britz. You know, we can discuss things. I'm happy to give anybody advice on any sort of creative or photography they have coming up in their business. You know, there's a lot of people that need just a few tips and tricks. I'm happy to start connecting with people and seeing what people need out there. So definitely laurenbritzphotography.com, Lauren Britz Photo on Instagram, Lauren Britz LinkedIn, and Lauren Britz Photo on Facebook for sure. I'd love to have anyone reach out to me. I'm available.
Cool, guys. And for me, Business by Design, or you can check out, or you could just literally type in Kevin Britz on Google, or hashtag lunchtime series, lunchtime coaching. It all comes up. Those are all the ones that come up the most relevant, and you can find out all about what we do and how we do what we do. Lauren, thank you so much, and thank you for chatting today. And I will take you next week.
It's so good to see you, and I hope you have a lovely week ahead.
And you. Chat to you later. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.